So, if you're in the pharma world, you've probably heard these terms thrown around: clinical QA, commercial QA, and pharmacovigilance QA. Now, they all have quality right there in the title, but are they the same thing? In this explainer, we're going to break down what each one really does, why they're so different, and how they all ultimately work toward the exact same mission: keeping patients safe.
Okay, so let's just cut to the chase. This is a question that honestly trips up a lot of people when they're new to the industry. You see these job titles, and it's totally natural to think, hey, these are probably just different names for the same kind of work. But are they?
And the answer is a big, clear nope, not even close. They are fundamentally different roles, each looking at risk through a completely unique lens, each focusing on a different part of a medicine's journey. So let's break down exactly how.
We're going to start at the very beginning of a product's life, the clinical trial phase. And this is where we meet our first group, the guardians of quality, the clinical QA team. You see, clinical QA lives and breathes in the development stage. Long before a drug is even a physical product you can hold, you need data, a mountain of it, to prove it's safe and that it actually works. The whole job of clinical QA is to guard the integrity of that data.
So what does that actually look like? Well, their world is governed by something called Good Clinical Practice, or GCP. This means they're constantly auditing clinical trial sites, checking on vendors, and digging into data systems to make sure trial subjects are safe and that every single piece of data being collected is rock solid and credible.
And this really gets to the heart of their mission. At this early stage, the risk isn't a bad batch of pills. The product doesn't even exist yet. The real risk is making a huge, multi-million-dollar decision based on bad data. So the one question clinical QA is always asking is this: can we absolutely trust the evidence?
All right, let's fast forward. The data was good, the drug got the green light from regulators, and now we have to actually make the thing. We're moving from the clinic to the factory floor, and that's where we meet our product protectors, the commercial QA team. And just like that, the whole game changes. The risk has totally shifted. It's no longer about bad data, it's about a bad physical product. The job of commercial QA is to make sure that every single tablet, every vial, every dose that leaves that facility is exactly what it's supposed to be, every single time.
Their world revolves around something called Good Manufacturing Practice, or GMP. They're the ones who manage any deviations from the plan, they review every single batch record before a product can be released to the public, and they oversee the quality of all the raw materials coming in. You can think of them as the final gatekeepers for the physical product.
And this is the question that keeps a commercial QA person up at night. It's all about control and consistency. Is our manufacturing process so tightly controlled that we can guarantee the millionth batch is absolutely identical in quality to the very first one? That's the challenge they live to solve.
Okay, so our product has left the factory and it's now out in the world, in the hands of patients. But the journey isn't over, not by a long shot. In a lot of ways, it's just beginning. And this is where our third group comes in, the Pharmacovigilance, or PV Quality Assurance Team. They're the safety watchdogs. You know, clinical trials are controlled environments. They're like a perfect, clean little bubble. But the real world, it's messy. The critical mission for PVQA is to monitor the safety of that product once it's being used by the general population. They're on the lookout for any new or unexpected safety issues that pop up. So, how do they do this? They make sure the systems for collecting and reporting side effects or adverse events are working perfectly. They audit the processes that detect potential safety signals from all the patient reports coming in, and they make sure any serious issues get reported to health authorities right on time. So their fundamental question is all about vigilance. Are our eyes and ears open? Are we actively listening to what patients and doctors are telling us about our medicine out in the real world? And, most importantly, are we acting on that information correctly and quickly? So, we have the evidence guardians, the product protectors, and the safety watchdogs. 3 very different jobs, right? They sound like they're in completely different worlds, but they aren't nearly as separate as you might think. Let's look at how they all connect.
This table lays it out pretty perfectly, doesn't it? Clinical QA owns the development stage, focusing on trial integrity. Then commercial QA takes the baton during manufacturing, focusing on product quality. And finally, PVQA takes over for the entire post-market phase, protecting patient safety. It's the same core mission, quality, just applied to a different stage of the product life cycle and a different kind of risk.
But here's the really cool part.
Beneath all those differences, they share the exact same DNA. Every single one of these roles is built on a solid foundation of risk-based thinking, data integrity, process consistency, and this constant drive for continuous improvement. And trust me, they are all constantly getting ready for the next inspection.
And ultimately, they are all trying to answer this one powerful question. It doesn't matter if the system is a clinical trial, a huge manufacturing line, or a complex safety reporting process. The goal is always the same: to ensure it is robust, reliable, and completely under control.
So why does understanding all this matter so much, especially if you're trying to build a career in quality assurance?
Well, for one, knowing the difference helps you choose the path that really fits you. Do you love the science of drug development? Clinical QA could be your home. Are you passionate about engineering and process control? You should definitely look at commercial QA. Or do you want to be on the front lines of patient safety? Then PVQA is your destination. Plus, it helps you understand how risk flows through the whole life cycle and lets you speak the same language as your colleagues in those other functions, which is absolutely crucial.
And that's really the big idea to take away from all this. Quality in pharma isn't just one job. It's a seamless thread, a continuum that runs from the very first idea for a medicine all the way to a patient's experience years and years later. Understanding each part of that continuum, well, that's what makes a truly great quality professional.